it's Petr here. I just finished day one of the Arena Open, and my pool was really interesting. I made 7-2 at the first attempt, and I just thought that it was like the pool was interesting, so I wanted to share. It's not gonna be a long video, but I thought that it might be worth watching for some people. So, oh, by the way, I didn't really play before the Open. I obviously did play a bunch of cans back in the day. I think I even played it at the Pro Tour, but you know, it's been like 5 or maybe even more, like 7 years. So I obviously forgot a lot of things, but yeah, I actually misbuilt my deck horribly for like the first 3 rounds. I was playing like some random blue red tempo deck, which was like okay, but I was playing a bunch of mediocre cards because I was just short of having 23 really good cards. So I had to play like one of this guy, which is actually better than it would be in other formats just because it's a more format. Most people start at turn 3, so you can actually get on the board, and they often just play a 3 mana 2/2, so you can attack for multiple turns. Actually, not that bad, but it's still not great. I also had to play strokes, which I think are kind of bad. Like even it is still sealed, so people have bombs and expensive cards. So obviously, stroke is like fine maybe in sealed, but I just think that in a morph format, you just pass and their expensive spell is just unmorphing their morph, and you have stroke in your hand, then it's pretty bad. So I actually don't like it that much. So I started with blue red, then I was like, wait a minute, I can just play like this Snowhorn Rider and this Bear Companion. I actually have only one fixer for that, if you don't count the Teamer banner. But I still thought it was worth it, then I added it, and then I was just like looking at the siege right now, and I just felt stupid for not playing it. So I was just thinking of the way to put it in the deck, and then I just did it. I just put it in the deck, I added the Sultai banner and all the fixing for it, and it's still like not, it's not like you can always cast it on turn 4, but it's still gonna happen like good amount of the time, and you can just play it later. You can like on turn 7 or whatever, you can play Siege Rider plus a Morph or something, or like Siege Rider plus Arc Lightning, and it's still really good. So and it doesn't actually hurt you that much. Yes, you have to have a lot of top lands in your deck, but you don't really have that many elite plays anyway, which is just the case in the format in general. So it's fine to just play the lands, and I just think it was worth it. After I changed it to this, I basically went like from 1-2 to 7-2, and the games weren't really close. I think there was like one close game where I just was struggling with the mana, but besides that, I just felt like I was overpowering my opponents. Let's look at some of the choices. So like this card, for example, might look kind of weird because it's sealed, and especially nowadays, like, you know, pump spells aren't that good, especially in sealed. People can blow you out and stuff. But in this format, there's just like a lot of 2/2s attacking into 2/2s. It's especially good with like cards like Alpine Grizzly, because the pattern of playing Grizzly and they just play random morph, you attack and they just block because they don't want to take 4. It just happens so often, and you can just blow them out. It's also really good with the Elders because, you know, you just want these guys to keep getting in. And even if you don't have like follow-up spells, you just make a 3/4 prowess. It's really hard for them to block it. So I was actually really impressed with this card. I'm not sure if I would play a third one if I had it, but it was really good for me. I already mentioned the Grizzly. Another 2 things are, I think in general, I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but I think the banners were bad even if you were playing multiple colors, just because you wanted to play more on turn 3, and this just wasn't that powerful of an effect, and you had enough fixing. So these banners weren't great, but I just thought that the power level of my deck is off the charts. I just thought that that's like, you know, one of the ways I can lose is that I just don't have the mana, so I just wanted to make sure that I have it. Also, the other thing is that I have the 2 Elders. So what you can do, even if you're on a draw, you just play Elder into one of the banners, and even if they have a morph, you get the loot. So I thought that was pretty good. Some cards in my sideboard that I wasn't playing, there is this Mandarin Tower Shell. When I opened it, I was like, wow, this has to be like a bomb, right? I didn't really remember what it does. So for people who don't know, it's a 5/9, but when it attacks, it exiles itself, and it attacks next turn. But like, that's really bad, because like if you do that, it just disappears. You cannot block with it, and the next turn you're forced to attack with it, which oftentimes you will not want to do. Like if they play like a death touch creature or whatever, you're forced to attack with it. So it's just like a 5/9 defender that can sometimes maybe attack, which I just don't think that is worth it. Maybe if this was best of 3, you can board it in some cases where like the body is really good. It's really hard for your opponent to attack into it, and eventually you can maybe start attacking with it. But I just don't think that is very good in general. Another thing that I think a lot of people would play is the secret plans. I was actually considering it. But when you look at the number of morphs that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It actually is really good with the Phoenix because you can flip it multiple times. 6. So 6 is a number where I think on average you're gonna draw like 1 card with it, and that's just not worth it, I don't think. Because sometimes it's just not gonna do anything. 2 mana give some of your creatures +0, +1, and you draw like 1 card. It's just not very good. One thing going for it is that it's like another spell for these others, but I don't know. I just don't think that it's great. It's also a horrible top deck. You can add like additional morphs to your deck to make it better, like these Flux, for example. I also have this Ripper, which I didn't play because I just didn't have enough black cards, so it would basically just be 1/1 death touch, which I just didn't think it was great, especially on a splash. But you could do that, but I think overall it would make the deck worse, and the secret well, what is the name of it? Secret plans would still not be amazing or anything. Another card I could have played is like the Seek the Horizons, but I actually don't even have a Plains or Swamp in my deck, and it doesn't actually put lands into play. It only puts them in your hand, and I'm already playing 2 banners, which I think are just better. So I didn't end up running it, but it is possible that maybe in some other configuration where we're just playing would be playing straight 5 colors, and I would actually have the other basics in my deck. Maybe it would be alright, but yeah, I just don't really think that it's great. I was also considering this Wealth, which is definitely a great sideboard card because if your opponent is playing a slow matchup, you're just gonna kill them with it. But overall, I just don't think it's great. Even if you play for like 6, sometimes it just doesn't really do anything. It's like one of those cards that are like insane in like the super slow matchups, because if you just play 20 turns, eventually you top deck it and you kill them with it. But I don't think I wanted to risk just like having a bad expensive card that wasn't really doing anything, especially on a splash, so I wasn't playing it either. And yeah, I already talked about the strokes. I don't think they are great. You can board them in but by the way, this was best of 1, so no sideboard. Cards that maybe I should have played is like this 4/2. It's actually better than it looks, especially if you have cards like Savage Punch. But I just thought that I'm gonna unmorph my morph on 5 so often that it would just kind of strain my hand, and I just wanted to make sure that I have enough early plays. But I do have 2 banners, so playing this on turn 4 might be pretty good. So that's a consideration. I was also considering to play this Tormenting Voice because you can fix your draw. I'm playing 5 colors, and it also triggers prowess for these guys, I guess for this guy as well. But overall, I just don't think that the card is powerful enough, and in a lot of the games I'm gonna be able to fix my hand and loot with these guys, so it's just like an additional effect that does that. So it just didn't seem worth it for me to play it, but it's possible. Also, like maybe Throttle is fine. I already talked about this guy, but I just didn't really want to play black cards in my deck. Like Siege Rhino is just insane, and these 2 cards are morphs. But I just didn't want to add additional black cards that aren't actually like extremely good. Like I don't really want to have black mana in my deck, but I just think that these cards make up for the times where you cannot actually cast them with how good they are, but I just don't think that's the case for these cards. So yeah, excited for tomorrow. I think I'm still gonna play a couple drafts just to practice a little bit. But yeah, wish me luck. See you.